Okay,
Arun, you have
good
to
evening.
mute
Yeah,
yourself.
I just realized I was on mute. So
Okay.
thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Arun. I'm sure my audio as well as the visual is pretty clear to all the participants. I see the entire screen full loaded with participants out and gives a lot of encouragement. So very good evening to all of you who have taken time out to be a part of this call, the session rather, and I will ensure that whatever time you are investing as part of the session, at
Mhm.
the end of next 1 hour, you will certainly be taking away something which will be helpful to you in your professional journey. Right? That's a commitment from my side. Uh, if we are all set, we can start off.
Okay, so Arun, before we start, like I just want to say a couple of things. Like I have muted everyone so that there should be no chaos creating after between the call. So guys, if you have any questions, you can. There is a chat box option in your in Teams. You can write down your questions, and Arun will take those questions from the chat box, and he will going to reply those questions. I'm sure, hopefully, we will going to cover each and every question. But if we miss any questions, we will reply those questions and share those answers with your coordinator.
Absolutely. So we will certainly try to see as much. So what I will do is I will keep the session part of it limited to say 30-35 minutes, and we'll open up the floor for the questions so that we can utilize the maximum time spent on this call in answering your queries, questions specific, whatever you have. Uh, I would need somebody to help me out with reading out the questions. Will that be possible for somebody to read out the questions from the chat box? Because it becomes slightly difficult to swap the windows. Will that be feasible if somebody can read out the questions from the chat box?
Yes, we
That
can
be
plan it out. Me or from my team, Shivangi is there. Our HR head is there. So we will going to help you out on that part.
I think that will be great. That will be super help because what happens is swapping between the windows sometime actually distracts the whole flow, right?
Right.
So thank you very much. So before I hope the dice is all mine and I can start off with the session right away. Understanding the time constraints and being a sad Friday evening, I'm sure all of you will be after completing the whole of your day in terms of academics and uh, being a part of the college setup. I'm pretty sure that you also will be looking out to wind up the day as up. And I will ensure that I will be on time to conclude the session. But absolutely something which I would need from all of you as part of this journey is to ensure that you are completely with me in this 1 hour 20 minutes or 1 hour max that I'm going to invest, so that whatever time you are investing here is valuable to you and you take a lot of value out of whatever has been the efforts that has been put in by the organization whiteboard and you college who have been coordinating with the team out here. So that is the only commitment that I would require from your side. This is going to be a very different session, pretty different from what we have been seeing the sessions, because every presenter has its own style of putting up things and I do have my own style of putting up things, and you will get to know why it is different. And then I'm going to talk a lot about in terms of what from HR standpoint people do look in when they interview, when they get into interview, what exactly you are expected to be presenting yourself, the way you are presenting yourself in terms of when you get into an interview. And that's the session is all about. So if you are able to take few points from whole of the area that I'm going to cover, and you can implement it in your professional journey, not today, not tomorrow, but throughout your life, I can assure you that is going to benefit you in terms of getting a higher probability of getting through the interviews that you go in, right? That is something that I will talk about it. But before I start off, I just wanted to put up some slides. So I'm not a big fan of slides, to be very honest. But for the guiding part of it, it's important that I put up a slide so that we all stay in track in terms of what exactly the plan is all about. We are closely aligned to the plan. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to put up a slide out here. Just allow me a couple of minutes. I'm trying to put the slide up here and just confirm it to me as soon as you're able to see the slide. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, let me go back and present the slide. Okay. to figure out. Is the slide up? Not yet, right?
Nope.
Okay, I'm sure now it is up.
Yes.
Okay, so the customary piece of a session which starts off is with a quick introduction. You are seeing me for the first time, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering as to what this gentleman is doing here on a Friday evening. So just to take a quick overview of who am I and what I am doing here, and what is that you can expect from me as a presenter for the evening today. That is something that I'm going to clarify. The first and foremost question which I'm sure all of you will be thinking about is who am I? What this person is doing here today in this particular call? What is his credentials? Is he worthy enough for us to put a ear to him, etc. So just a quick introduction about who am I. Here's a small slide. I'm not a very big fan of speaking about myself, but yeah, it's important that I tell a bit about me to gauge your interest in my session as to why you should listen to me. So don't go by the picture. It's a little old. I've grown up this beard very recently, so it doesn't match with the picture which is out there. There's a little old picture. I'm still more younger to what I get seen in the picture. So my name is Arun Chatterjee. I'm a HR professional. I have been in this industry for 16 years. And of course, during my span of 16 years, the industry that I work across is across versatile domains. So I have been a part of IT product services. I have been a part of manufacturing setups. I have been a part of IT services. I have served staffing. I have served consulting. I have served IT product services. So 16 years spread across multiple industry domains is what I bring in as an experience. While most of the HR professionals stick to a domain by virtue of my role, by virtue of the opportunity that I kept getting, I have been spanning across various industries, and that's the reason why you see this diverse industry that I bring in. And to a larger extent, it also gives me a panorama of how different industry works and helps me to guide people, helps me to mentor people as we go ahead and drive sessions across. That's something which is important. Uh, some organizations that I have worked across in my past uh, includes few of the logos that I have shared on the screen. You see Dell. I'm sure all of you will be aware about what Dell is all about. Uh, I'm sure you will be actually knowing about GE Healthcare. I got associated with GE for almost 4.5 years of my tenure. I was with GE. That is a manufacturing setup. ITC, I'm sure all of you will be knowing ITC in some way or the other, be it the tobacco business or be it the food or the Ashirwad Atta or the ITC span of hotels. So I have been a part of their Infotech division for quite a long years. I've been serving ITC's Infotech division, and at present I'm a part of the Quest Corp group, which is into staffing business. And of course, these are few of the industries that I have been privileged to get associated with. Since I'm talking to this elite mind of NITs, uh, and it makes little sense to put across my education credentials as well. So I'm basically an electronics graduate from St. Aloysius College. Then I did my master's in human resources from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. I'm also pursuing my psychology in human psychology, specialized in industrial psychology from JGI, and of course, I'm also currently spanning my certification in talent management from Aon. So while I believe a lot in investing in learning, I do encourage people to be a lifelong learner. While I pursued my uh, MBA and masters in around 16, 17 years back when I started my career, before that, but I still keep myself invested in learning because that is a journey that should always continue. That's one of the reasons why you see the psychology masters and other certification we keep going. So why this slide is all about is, if you see the slide, if you see the experience that I've gathered over 16 years, I feel this can be helpful for all the audience out here to gauge through how different industries work. While you are all a part of this education setup today, tomorrow a few of you may have experience, few of you are freshers to this whole industry setup. When you actually get into the industry domain, it will be helpful for you to hear out from me as to what different industries look forward for. While overall there has been a common pattern in terms of when somebody at a fresher level approaches the interview, but there are certain key points which actually makes a difference. You know the count of colleges, while NITs stand up much higher in terms of pedestal when it comes to the college setup and the grading that NIT brings in. But when you compare it to the overall industry, when you compare it to the overall education setup, overall count of students who get into the market every year, it is very important that you make up a mark in the interview for the interview to select. I'm sure while where it can be a campus, most of you will be getting placed through campus interviews. Most of you will your companies will walk into your colleges. Few of you may go into the market to hunt for jobs, but there will be something which is very common, which will stand out for each and everyone, is the interview process, right? Unless you are an entrepreneur, you choose to be an entrepreneur. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you have to undergo an interview with the investors if you're looking for fundings, etc. Right? But something which is very common to all of the participants out there is an interview process. Now, I want you to understand a couple of very important points. While a lot of things are available in the social media today, something that is critical. While a lot of you talk about interview, lot of people do talk about how to crack an interview, how to talk about, but it's a process. It's something which requires some diligence, some work to be done in the background to increase the probability of you being selected for the role that you're aspiring for. That's very important to understand the process. One is basically to appear for an interview. One is basically to understand the process of how an interview works, how understand the psychology of an interviewer. So if you are able to understand the psychology of an interview, the probability of you getting selected increases rather than just randomly landing up in a place where you're just sitting for an interview and you don't have any clue as to how the interview process works, right? That's very important. So today in this next 30-35 minutes, I'm going to quickly take you through how the process works and what is there which each and every one of you should be mindful about when you're actually preparing for an interview, right? So I'm going to talk about it. So before we start off, what exactly you can expect from this session? So a couple of things that you can expect from this session is, as I said, the interview process I'm going to talk about. What exactly talks about what is the preparation stage, what is the psychology of an interviewer, what exactly is been trying to gauge when as a fresher you approach an interview versus you when you approach as a experienced person, what is the psychology of an interviewer? Okay, certain important questions. Now, out of my experience of 16-17 years, while I do add my own journey of attending interviews as you shift between organizations, there are certain prominent questions which has not been changed over the years. That is something which has been common, which continues to stay in the favorite list of an interviewer. I'm sure when you move up to an interview panel, eventually with your experience, you will also choose few of these questions, which I'm going to talk about. I'm going to touch base upon few of some of these common questions and how how that should be answered to increase the probability of selections. That's something which is important. And of course, summary and of course, call for action and some question and answers. What we will be taking about in this particular session. This is how the session flow will be all about, right? I'm sure this is the whole stencil on which we are going to work upon today. Now, it is very important to understand there. As I said, interview is a process. It's not an instance. It's not that you suddenly land upon, right? If you suddenly land up in an interview without understanding the process of an interview, there are all probabilities that you are playing with your luck. And when you are playing with your luck, the probability of selection is dependent upon your good or bad deeds. Just joking, basically. The whole idea is if you're understanding the process of an interview, you can prepare accordingly. There's a scientific approach. You can put your thoughts forward. You can work towards understanding how this whole cycle is going to work. And that is basically starts with understanding where exactly you want to land, right? Very important. Uh, the whole interview process can be classified into three categories. One is basically before the interview journey. One is basically during when you do an interview, when you are attending an interview. And the third aspect is when you actually conclude interview. What are the things that you should be? There are certain aspects to it which you need to follow, or which you should follow. I would rather put a strong comment that you should follow, so that the process and the outcomes are more favorable, right? The first instance is understanding the kind of industry that you want to pick up. Now, there are two options to it. You can randomly pick up industries, what comes in your way. That is also okay when you are starting your career, because you still have time to choose exactly what you want to pick up at a later point of time. But it is always better to invest your thoughts in terms of choosing what exactly you want to get into, where you want to float into, right? In your, somebody may be interested to get into the IT space of it. Somebody may want to get into a technology space of it. Somebody wants to get into IT or a manufacturing side of it. Somebody will be interested to get into the retail side of it, right? So the first and foremost is, do we have the clarity in terms of what exactly is the industry that I want to choose? The market is open, the entire industry setup is open. If you open any of the job portals, you will see a lot of options being available. Either you can choose to randomly click options out there saying everything and everything that is coming, I am open for it. That is one way of looking into things. Other way is looking into things is you pick up the kind of industry that you want to get into and then focus on to that part. Right? These are the first and foremost thing that you need to think. So if you have not thought about it till now, I would strongly recommend that you invest some time to think through these lines as to what is the kind of industry that you want to choose. And there is nothing wrong, nothing right. It's all personal preferences. It is also okay if you say, I want to be a part of any industry that comes in my way. That is also absolutely okay. But the fact of the matter is, in case if you want to choose an industry, and if you decide to choose an industry, it becomes easy for you to invest yourself in getting to know more about that particular industry, right? That's very, very important. I'm going to tell you what makes it different from you attending an interview as a person who has understood the process versus somebody who is randomly attending the interview, which is coming on his way, and how the interviews do make it up. Right? Now, as I said, interview preparation process is the first stage of phase one. Is basically second is how you actually get into the real-time interview, and of course the summary overall, as I said. Now, very, very important aspect of this, as I said, once you choose the industry, then it is very, very important for you to understand the company profile. Now, how the interview happens, right? Whether you are an experienced person or whether you are a fresher who is just starting your career in corporate, the story remains the same. Either you have companies who will walk up to your college, which is a higher probability, and you will be having a chance of attending an in-campus placement drive. Or in case if you want to drive something outside the campus setup, you can go for a lateral entry. Both of things happen. Now, what happens is eventually when you get to know about an organization, that a company can be a company which can be coming to your, which may be coming to your college, or you may choose to walk up to the company's premises to give an interview. The fundamental thing, whether you are a fresher, whether you're an experienced person, is to know about the organization. Now, most of the freshers who I have interviewed, or most of the people who I've taken interviews from the HR standpoint, the basic thing that they don't know about is the organization. Now, the differentiator for all of you on this call who will actually make or break to the interview process is you understanding about the company, you knowing about the organization. Now, for example, you are attending an organization which is into a manufacturing setup. Okay. Now, first and foremost thing you need to know about is what is the manufacturing setup in India looks like, right? It may be a question which may be which will maybe put across to the interviewer by the interviewer to you, or it may not be put across. But the important for you to know is that you do understand the industry. For example, a manufacturing. What is the market share of a manufacturing setup in the overall economy? Right. First point. Second point is if it is a product manufacturing, what kind of product it is into, right? That's very, very important for you to know. Company profile. The company profile includes what is the company all about, how long it has been into the business. Is it a Fortune 500 company? Is it a startup? is it a public limited company? It's a private held company. All of it, information has to be in your fingertips. That's the first and foremost thing. You don't land up in an interview, doesn't even know what exactly the organization are about. That's not something which I would recommend any of you to do through. While with the access of technology, with the access of various apps at your fingertips, it's easy for you to now actually go ahead and figure out details about an organization just by clicking a button. Right. So what you should do is first and foremost, you understand the company profile that talks about the basic organization. Is it a multinational? Is it a Indian based company? Is it an organization which is into what is the space? What is the longevity of the organization? All of this is very important for you to know about it. Second important aspect, which I strongly recommend all of my people, is to understand the financials of the company. Now, this is something which people don't do generally. Now, I don't want you to mug up the entire balance sheet of the organization. But if you have the access to sites like moneycontrol.com, if you have the access to the organization website, most of organizations do publish their annual balance sheet in the organization, right? Have basic understanding of what has been the turnover of the organization, what is the total market flow, what is the total operating capital that the organization has, what kind of depth that is happening, what are the investment that it has made. All of these are vital informations for you to, and these are the points which is going to differentiate you from the other contenders who are attending for the same round of interviews, right? Third important aspect is basically to know as the market standing. Now, market standing is very, very important. This is something which do come into interview questions as to who are our competitors, right? How do you think we are better as compared to our competition? Right? These are certain questions which the interviewers do pose into interviewees. Now, that is only possible for somebody to answer if he or she is aware about the competition. One of my favorite questions that I put across to the candidate is, do you understand who are my competitors? That is only possible when you actually read about the organization. For example, if you are if you are attending an interview of the shoe manufacturing organization, then you should know who are the competitors of that particular, what is the kind of market share that the company who are attending the interview is actually having, what is the recent ventures that it has done. All of this will be very, very important to understand the market standing. Is it top 10, top 15, top 20? Doesn't have a standing, it's absolutely okay with it. But the fact of the matter is you need to have a clear understanding as to what is the market standing of the organization that you're attending the interview for. That's very, very important. Latest status. So for example, has the organization undergone a latest acquisition? Has the organization done something significant to the society? Is there a new breakthrough in the technologies that the company has brought in? All of this, it's a part of a preparation stage, right? When you start doing this for an organization, you will start feeling confident about that you know more about the organization as compared to anybody else. Most of you, 90% of the students won't do this. I can bet you that. 90% of the experienced people don't do it. They just land up in an organization for an interview just with random knowledge that they would have gathered. They don't do a detailed study about it. So that is very, very important for all of you to make a note of it, that the recent interventions, the recent programs, the recent ventures, and where do you get all of these information? All of this is available in the company's official LinkedIn page. You can make a note of it. All big companies, most of the organizations do have a LinkedIn page where they keep updating their recent event, recent activities. Assume a situation, you are sitting for an interview and you are able to strike a conversation about a recent event which the company has underwent or conducted over a last month or so. What kind of impression that you want to create amongst the interviewers? So the interviewer will be immediately triggered saying, yes, this gentleman or a lady who is in front of me is absolutely in sync with what we are doing in the industry. That is only possible when you actually go ahead and read about it. The best source I would recommend for all of you to read about a company's latest promotions, latest events is the LinkedIn profile, the home page of the organization. You may not be seeing it on the website, but LinkedIn is one of the areas, LinkedIn is one of the source platforms where all of these companies do upload their recent activities, recent happenings there. So that's very, very important that you do visit the LinkedIn page of the organization where you are planning to attend an interview for. That's very, very important, right? And of course, events, as I spoke about, it's very, very important that you attend your now second important aspect. So this is something which is critical for all of you to know about the organization. Now, this is one of the biggest differentiator. As I said, I'm repeating this over and over again. Most of the students who do attend interviews don't focus on these aspects of it. Remember one thing: when you're attending an interview in the same space, for the same position, there are multiple other students who will be also attending the interview at the same point of time for the same position, for the same role, in front of the same interviewer. Now, these are certain points which can differentiate you from the others. And one of the most important points that I spoke about, which is there listed on the screen, is your own, is the organization profile, the awareness about the organization that you're going. For example, if you're traveling to a city, I always give out this example. If you are making a travel plan to a city, or if you're making a vacation plan to a different country, the first thing that you do is to try getting information about that country, right? You want to know what is the currency, what are the good places to visit, is there a dispute which is happening in the country, which is a good place that I can stay, what are the things that I should be careful about, what are the things which is acceptable, non acceptable. All of these things we do when we actually plan for a vacation. Similarly, when you actually plan for an interview, which is a choice that you make for a broader cause, it is very important that you do a deep dive analysis about the organization. And that is only possible when you visit the organization website, you read through the LinkedIn profile. There are other social media sites, for example, a Glassdoor, a Mouthshut, which also gives you a lot of reviews from the employees as to what they think about the company. While you may choose not to get biased by any of it, but you get a hang of what exactly the organization is all about. That's very, very important. Now, second important aspect that I wanted to touch upon is what exactly you should do for preparing, right? One is knowing about the organization. That's one part of it. Second piece is knowing about yourself. While when I started the call, I spoke about that you need to make a very, very clear, it's preferable that you make a clear choice of what is the kind of industry that you want to pick upon. But it's very, very important that you actually make your profile set according to the organization. Now, there are two aspects to it. One is your digital media presence and one is your profile. Now, digital media presence, the first and foremost thing which comes as a priority is your own LinkedIn profile. So in case if you have not set up your LinkedIn profile till now, I would recommend all of you to go and set up your LinkedIn profile, because a lot of organization, if not today, if tomorrow, when you grow up, when you actually become more experienced, when you actually a veteran in the industry, something that the interview will certainly look forward for even before making a call to you for lining up for an interview is going through a LinkedIn profile. And LinkedIn profile talks a lot about you as a person, your interest in the industry, what kind of activities, what kind of promotions that you do. That all of it is a part of your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you don't have a proper LinkedIn profile, I would strongly recommend that all of you go back, spend a day, update your LinkedIn profile properly. Now, the update can include a lot of small things, starting from your picture to your banner, to something with regards to your career aspiration, your education qualification, the projects that you are doing. In case if any of you have experiences in your past journey, all of it can be plugged into, but it has to be updated, right? That is very, very important from making a digital footprint. Now, in case if you're blogging, in case if you do write blogs, uh, creative blogs, for example, if you're writing something about travel, so please be aware about what you wrote, because some of these information will be very, very vital for you to share when you actually are in a discussion, right? Because while everybody talks about a lot of things, in case if you have something which is different from others, I am a strong advocate that you should actually go ahead and put it forward to the interview. It's very, very important aspect of it. So digital footprints are very, very important. Something that I would strongly recommend, in case if you are planning to into a social media, into an organization, please refrain from being polarized towards anything for that matter, right? Be it religion, be it any particular event, a political avenue. While it is good to have your own opinion, but it's not advisable that you be polarized towards any particular event in a professional platform, right? A LinkedIn or a social media or your YouTube channel, etc. So all of these needs to be set well before, much ahead of your interview schedules. That's very, very important. Next is what exactly you need to understand is prep about the roles and the cell. That's another important aspect. While I have seen people preparing their profiles, when I have asked, when I spoke to them to explain them about a point which is there in the profile, they're completely clueless. Now, why does that happen? That happens because you would have loaded your profile, you would have updated your profile a month ago, 2 months, 3 months ago, and using the same profile over and over again as and when you come across a job opportunity. Now, what happens is human brain short-term memory, unfortunately, is tend to delete things which you don't constantly see. Now, what is the same thing which happens with your profile as well? If you have written something in your profile, and you are not often reading through it, there are all possibilities that you may miss out on points. So very, very important that be thorough about what you have written in your profile. I can assure you, if I pick up people on this call and if I have access to profile, I can assure you that a lot of you may not be even remembering what is the point that they are in their profile, where it is mentioned, what is the language that they have used. That is the sole reason, because once you upload your profile, you generally don't tend to revisit that very often. And it happens with a lot of experienced professionals as well. So important for you to not only update your profile properly, it's very, very important that you should also know what you have written in your profile. A lot of people do copy paste from the internet. Thanks to the ChatGPT era, you do copy paste a lot of things from ChatGPT without even understanding what does that mean. Now, the interviewer, moment he picks up certain points from that particular profile and he puts across to you to explain in detail, you get stuck there. The reason is because while you've written it, you did not bother to understand that in detail. So very, very important for you to understand each and every word, whatever you have written. It's not about the language that you have used. The question is whether you understand what you have written in your profile or not. That is a very, very important aspect for each and every individual on this call to make a note of it. So call for action here is, the third call for action is basically go back, read through your profile. If you had read yesterday, again sit today, read through your profile to have a clear mental map as to whatever you have written is what is syncing up in your head. If you have understood certain points, if you are not able to clarify certain points, if you are not able to justify a point which is there in the profile to yourself, I would strongly recommend that remove it from the profile. If you are not able to justify a point in your profile to yourself, you will not be able to justify it to the interviewers. So it's better to keep the profile simple, but it's important for you to memorize what you have written so that any point that gets picked up. I was talking to a candidate over a discussion and I asked him that what is that you have done about ATS? The gentleman started talking about he did a lot of things in terms of the application, the interview process, etc., as part of the ATS project. I will tell you the whole story behind this. While he spoke about a lot of things in the discussion about the ATS that he implemented, while he was referring to application tracking system, in his profile it was mentioned as attendance tracking system. In the profile, while he has mentioned about a project which he has done in attendance tracking system, the gentleman forgot what he wrote and he spoke about the application tracking system, which is a very different element in HR, which is all to do with recruitment. It's an application tracking system which basically deals about how an application lands up into the system and then gets picked up, shortlisted, etc. The gentleman spoke about the entire process without even realizing that what he has mentioned in the profile is completely different. Now, these scenarios can be unfavorable provided you have not understood and just blindly written and you have forgotten what you have written. Right? So very, very important for you to understand what exactly you have written in the profile. In your own resume, it's like your own biodata. And if you don't know about it, then there's no point in writing it. So please be aware about what you're writing in the profile. Keep it simple, but ensure that whatever written, you're thorough with it. You have mugged up, memorized it to a level that if somebody wakes you up and asks you what I've written in the 5th point of your profile, you should be able to tell this and you should be able to elaborate that. This is very, very important aspect. Now, moving on to the next part of it is basically while you're preparing for the interview, see, understand one simple thing. Every organization has a different requirement. Okay, every organization has a different requirement. And every requirement will require a separate set of independent individual to apply and appear for it. Very, very important aspect. Now, I'm sure you would have heard this jargon multiple times in your journey that one size fits all. But in interviews, that is not the scenario because every organization has a different JD. Every organization has a different expectation from the role. Every organization has a very different expectation for the candidate, what he's looking forward for. And that is only that the matching can only happen provided you understood what exactly the organization is looking forward for. Right? If you just have a random template that you have memorized and start going and blabbering in the interviews, whichever you are attending, there are all possibilities that you are actually testing your luck. And as I said again, moment you test your luck, it's again a very probability. You are playing a game of probability, right? You can do playing with your luck. If you are too lucky, you get picked up. You are not lucky. But if you want to go with a scientific approach of attending an interview, while you understood your profile, while you have set up your digital footprints, while you have understood about the organization, try to understand what is the requirement. Two roles of similar nature, two roles of HR in a similar, two roles of operations head, two roles of an intern, two roles of a manufacturing or management trainee in a similar type of industry will be different. Because the setup is different, the expectation is different, the value system differs. So every organization has a very different job description. Now, what people don't understand or what people don't abide is basically they don't invest time in reading the job description. Now, it is very, very important for you to understand and read the job description because the holy grail is sitting in the job description. If you understand what the company is looking forward from an individual who it is interviewing, you will be able to prepare your answers according to that. For example, if the job description reads as a strong team player, able to navigate across multiple teams and stakeholders, will be a preferred candidate. So you know that the requirement is somebody who is not an IC role, but somebody who is an outspoken person who will be required to communicate across various stakeholders to get the job done. So you can focus on your skills and you can project the skills about your communication, your stakeholder management to the interviewer. Right? For example, the job requires data analytics. You need to analyze the data. It requires interpretation. You need to make inferences. Then you can talk about something with regards to your experience in projects, with regards to data analytics. For example, a job description requires somebody who has to be abiding by the timelines for project completion. Now it's extremely important. Then you start conversing, put forward your words, which talks about your adherence to time schedules, because that is something which is a requirement of the job. Now, all of this is possible when you have read through the job description. Job description is not something which is just published. There is a thought process which gets into place. Each and every job gets analyzed. There are required skills, there are preferred skills, there are mandatory skills which is required for each and every job. And that is how each and every job is defined, described. There's a lot of process which goes behind defining a job, writing job specifications, qualifications for the job. And if you are missing on that particular information before preparing for an interview, you are missing out a lot of important information. See, the major portion of your interview is before you prepare for an interview. If you just randomly land up in interview asking some questions and answering to some questions, you are not doing the right thing and you are reducing the probability to get selected for a job. So it's very, very important that you read the job description. Now, when you read the job description, it is very, very important for you to ensure that you make your profile according to that job. I'm not saying you See, again, don't get confused that I am trying to tell you that you should uh, manipulate your profile. What I'm trying to tell you is every job will have certain key requirements. Highlight those requirements in your profile and suppress the other requirements which is not a part of your job. For example, as I said, going back to the same example, if a job requires somebody who has extensive or a profile requires somebody who needs extensive communication with stakeholders, highlight the points in your profile out of your achievements, be it out of a project or your past experience or your college days, whatever you are doing, highlight those points which has shown your involvement with stakeholders, shown your involvement with implementing your communication skills, right? Project deadlines, if that is something which is a requirement of the job, highlight the points or put forward the points in your profile which will be actually important pertaining to that particular skill of timeline adherence, right? So in that case, for example, compliance is something that will be required in certain jobs. So highlight if you have done something with regards to compliance. Technology is something which is required. If you have certain points, if the job requires somebody to be well versed with technology, then as a student of NIT, I'm sure all of you are tech savvy people. So highlight those particular points. Now these are all possible when you have actually read through the JD. So invest time in reading through the profile of the organization even before you go ahead and apply, or even before you go ahead and land on the day zero for the interview. That's very, very important for it. So while you can land up an interview randomly, or you can choose to actually prepare all of these content and go back and attend an interview. Choice is yours. But I can assure you that when you actually prepare all of it, when you actually go for an interview, there are two things which will happen. One is basically you get to know about an organization, you get to know by default, you will get to know about the industry by virtue of you preparing, you get to know about a company, you get to know about an organization culture, you get to know about the people. It's very, very important for you to know about it. And second thing is you also increase the probability of you being liked by an interviewer. Another important thing that I wanted to put across, which is not there as part of this slide, is to also try to know about the people who are going to interview you. When you actually move up to the senior levels, generally the interviewer details are shared. Now, what I would recommend all of you to do out of my practical experiences, go and visit the LinkedIn profile. Now, what happens is moment you go and visit the LinkedIn profile of an individual who is going to interview, in case if you get to know who is going to interview you, you get a hang of what exactly is the psyche of the person, right? What is the kind of person he is, what kind of events he attends, what kind of blogs that he writes, what kind of posts that he acknowledges, what kind of engagement that he does with his group members, etc. All of this you'll get a snapshot. When you get a snapshot of all of this, you're not landing in an unknown land now. You are knowing a bit about a person who you are going to talk about, who are going to talk to. Right? This is very, very important. Now, when you know a person, you know his likings, you know what kind of engagement that he does, you can always sync up your chords in accordance to that person's point of view. You can also mention to a person, individual who is interviewing you about his blog. For example, an interview has written about a blog, then you always strike a conversation, certainly saying, I read through your blog, what you have written. And that is something which is going to differentiate. The person, individual gets interested in your profile. I'm sure all of you who are on this call, if I start talking about your own experiences, your own journey, that you have written something, you have made a YouTube channel, you have given a comment, and if I talk about it, all of you will like it. That's how the human psychology works. So use this science in the interview process when you actually go and meet an interviewer. And if you get to know about it, who is going to interview, ensure that you visit his LinkedIn profile, go through it. It may be updated, it may not be updated. At least you will get a hang of what is a pedigree of an individual, what kind of institution that he or she has done his education journey, what kind of companies that a person has worked for, what kind of profile that the person has handled, what kind of psychology in that particular domain that a person has. For example, if you're attending a project leads, if your interviewer is a project leader, then you can actually gauge some information about what kind of project that he has, that what's the recent success that he has got, because all of these people do update in the LinkedIn profile. So that's very, very important. So LinkedIn is a holy grail for all of you, be it with regards to the company events, be it regards to the individual information, please ensure that you utilize this particular platform to get more and more information, right? Now, what to wear? I'm not going to ponder a lot about it. I leave it to all of you. You all are grown-up graduates from a premium B school. I'm sure none of you are going to wear Bermudas and going and attending an interview, right? That's something which I'm sure all of you. I'm not going to get into that aspect of it, uh, but I would recommend something that understand what the organization is all about. While the organization may be promoting a culture of openness, while an organization may be promoting a culture of that flexible work environment, flexible dressing sense, etc., but that doesn't warrants you to walk up to an interview in very casual kind of setup, right? I till date, while we have gone ahead over the years, advanced in terms of our thought processes, till now in the industry, the preferred dressing sense for an interview is formals. While I won't recommend you to wear a coat, put a tie and walk up, but a good blazer is a decent option, right? So when you are in a formal setup, it's always prescribed that you wear something which is formal. If for my female attendees here, a good piece of salwar suit or a sari or a business formal will be a decent option. But don't overdress yourself. Don't load yourself with a lot of accessories, etc. Because a point of time, a lot of interviews does not appreciate that. So don't play on your luck by all of it. Stay simple, stay formal, and that is something which is going to work best if you're comfortable in a so normal. And I can bet you that when you put up a formal shirt and a formal pant, with your polished shoes and a good buckle belt, and if you're putting good salwar suit, an elegant suit, or a sari or a business formal for my female attendees here in this call, you will have a different level of confidence as compared to when you just walk in with some casual stuff. So avoid it, because what you wear is actually psychologically it impacts your mindset, and also it impacts the mindset of an individual who is on the other side of the table. As I said, till now in the industry, while we talk about a lot of globalization, we talk about a lot of trends which has got changed over the years. Something which I have experienced has not changed is the expectation from an interviewer that I interview in front of him do walks up to him or her in a formal attire. So abide by that as something that I would strongly recommend all of you. So these are small things which is going to help you out as part of your journey, right? Now, when you land up in an interview process, most of the companies do talk about what is the kind of interview that they're going to go about. But don't get baffled if they actually put you across to a psychometric assessment. A lot of organizations do a psychometric assessment these days. I'm sure all of you will be aware about what is a psychometric assessments. It's again an assessment which is done to understand mostly the culture fit of an individual. Right? There's nothing wrong, nothing right. If there's a requirement in the organization is looking for a role which requires a lot of thought process, a specific kind of individual with a specific kind of traits, they make you undergo psychometric assessments. And psychometric assessment only talks about the personality that you are. It doesn't talk about whether it's good, whether it's bad. You as an individual have a different personality. I as an individual have a different personality. Nothing is wrong, nothing is right. It's about a matter of perspective. So psychometric assessment, if you undergo, please do not get baffled by it. Please do not get bogged down by it. To attend the psychometric assessment, it can be a psychometric assessment. It can be a stress interview. All of it can be there. And then you can go through it, attend it. Now, practice interviewing is very important. Like, I'm going to talk about certain set of questions. I'm going to give a hang of it in next slide also. See, the more you practice, the more confidence that you get, right? I have 16 years of experience in HR, but trust me, even till date, when I come for a session, I ensure that I have my mental map in place. I do revise in terms of what exactly I'm going to talk about it, right? It doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm going to supposed to talk about, but always practicing and having a mental map of what exactly I'm going to talk about it gives you a confidence. So very important that you do practice your interview questions over and over again. When you have your colleagues, your roommates, your hostel mates, do this role play of being an interviewer, and I can bet you that you over the time you gain your experience. There are small exercises which actually differentiates you from any other normal individual who is walking into the interview room. right? So invest your time instead of doing something which is not productive. I would strongly recommend that you invest your time towards doing something which is more productive in terms of ensuring that you do a role play exercise. I remember we used to do this role play when I was in my college days. As to somebody used to become an interviewer and used to ask all possible questions in this world and trying to answer those questions and put a video camera to see how you're responding, what is the body movements. All of these is technology which you can actually implement in today's era to see how your body movements are. Are you getting too nervous? Are you bending too forward? Are you bending too backward? Are you becoming very casual when you're responding? Are you becoming too formal when responding? All of this you can watch yourself. You need not have to have anybody else. Once you see your own gestures, you will be able to make a better decision as to how your interview is moving, right? Very, very important aspect. Now, interview question, I'm going to quickly get into the interview questions in terms of what are the most probable questions which has not changed over the years. Out of my 16, 17 years of experience, till date, when I come across interviews, when I talk to my colleagues who have attended interviews, some of the questions are pretty common, which stays constant. I'm sure over the next 10 years also, this is not going to change. I'm sure most of you who have attended these interviews will be able to see these questions which is there. And in case if you have not come across these questions, I would ask you to make a note of these questions, because 80% of these questions are going to come to your on your way when you are actually attending an interview. It doesn't make a difference whether you are fresher, whether you're experienced. These are common questions which is going to, I'm sure the organizers on this call will also be asking the questions when they do select people for their organization. That's very, very important. So I would urge all of you to make a note of these specific questions which is going to come on your way, right? Even after years of experience, if you go and attend the interview, these are the questions which is going to, the most famous question uh, which an interview is bound to ask, which is tuned to ask, is tell me something about yourself. Now, trust me, people on this call, while this sounds to a very, very simple question, this is the most tricky question that somebody can encounter, is telling about themselves. If I ask you to talk about yourself for next 3 minutes, after 1 minute, you will not be able to speak out anything about yourself. Try talking about yourself to your colleagues or friends. You may not be able to speak more than 1.5 minutes about your own self. Now, why this question comes? You have your profile. The interviewer would have gone through your profile. The profile would have been shared to him or her much before the interview schedules. Then why this question comes into place? And this is one of the favorite questions which is coming into play over and over again over decades. The reason why this question comes in, and this is one of the questions which gives a lot of lead to the interviewers to put forward the next question. Now, there are two ways to look into this. Either as an interviewer, I prepare my questions and then I put forward that to you, or I ask you about something and then start picking up questions from what you answered. This is one of the questions which actually gives an interview the leeway to pick up questions from what you have answered. Now, the best part of this from your standpoint, from an interviewee standpoint, is you have the lever to be handed over to the interviewer as to what he or she can ask. So while the interviewer has been looking forward to pick up questions from what you answer, from the question of tell me yourself, you have the option to give a question to the interview to ask from what you answer. The leading question will be from what you have answered, always. So it's very, very important that you prepare for this particular question in a way that you lead the interviewer to ask questions to what you want to answer from. It is like attending your practicals, right? I remember my days of graduation. We have been extensively taught that when the Viva is happening, put forward the questions or answer the question which has words which can be picked up by the Viva person to answer, to put up the next question. And that is how you lead an interview. There are two options. You lead an interview or the interviewer decides to lead the interview. So while the major authority stands with the interviewer to decide on how he wants to lead the question, a bit of it also stands with you to lead an interview or to ask certain question. That is basically this particular question about tell me about yourself. Now, tell me about yourself is a question which can have multiple answers to it. While there is no right, there is no wrong way about it. There are 100 of answers. If you scroll down the YouTube channel, I can bet you there will be 5,000 videos about people talking about different ways to answer this question. Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? Technically, there's no right, there's no wrong way. There's a decent way, which may suit an interviewer, which may not suit an interviewer. But I can tell you some things that you can avoid in this particular question. While everybody, you want to know more about it, log into the YouTube video, they will give you 100 of videos about it. Now, what is that you should avoid in this particular question is, do not overload your answers. If it is only talking about yourself, a bit about your education qualification, a bit about your projects, what you have done in case if you have no prior experience of your work, a bit about your family background, from which place you bring in. I think that is something which should be, and always leave a point open for the interviewer to ask in case if any specific point that he or she wants to know more about it. Now, the common mistake which people do in this particular segment is either they don't answer it appropriately, or they answer it in such a long way that by the time the interest level of the interviews goes for a toss. Now, for that, it is very, very important that while your answer cannot be too short, it cannot be too long as well, because there are also forthcoming questions which is going to be, you don't want to end up your interview in one particular question, right? You need to talk about more about your profile, your career. If you answer everything in this first question, what is that the interview is going to ask in the next question? So leave rooms open for the interviewer to ask you next question as well. And that is only possible when you go ahead and keep this answer precise, but should cover most of the information that you want to convey, but in a very short way. Second important question which always comes up on is talk about your strengths and weaknesses. While this is another important question. My journey, it is another question which comes in across whichever level you sit across. Right? And again, the answers are versatile. There's no right, there's no wrong answer. There are opinions given by different speakers, different interviewers, different bloggers about what is the right way, what is the wrong way about it in this particular segment. But what I would strongly recommend to all of you here is, do not say answers that I don't have weaknesses. I have never thought about it. Don't make these statements. Remember one thing, the person on the other side of it is expecting you to tell weaknesses. Nobody is looking for Superman in this world. So don't try to be a Superman or a super lady out there saying that I don't have any weaknesses. On the contrary, don't open a Pandora's box about only weaknesses, hundreds of weaknesses. Please don't open that as well. The expectation of the question itself that you should talk about weaknesses, but what you speak about weaknesses is something that should be mindful about. Now, for example, this is where again, it is important that you go back to the job description. Why I'm focusing a lot on the job description point of view is because job description will tell you about what is expectation of the job. Now, if you put that as a weakness, then I'm sure your book is closed at that point. For example, again, going back to the example that if the job description that you read talks about that you should be a person who is going to interact with a lot of stakeholders, get liaising with a lot of customers, partners. And on that, if you go and speak to an interviewer that your weakness is that you're a shy person, then I'm very sorry, they will say you goodbye and send you back home. No next questions. For example, if the job requires you to be abiding by timelines, then you cannot talk about that I'm a person who doesn't want to complete task on time. That is my weakness. No, you cannot talk about it because that is a requirement of the job. That cannot be a weakness in an individual who's appearing for the job. For example, if I am looking for if I'm a trainer, if I'm a spokesperson, I cannot say that I cannot speak proper English because that is a counter strength to what exactly is required. That is countering the strength that should be required for that particular job. So again, modify your weaknesses that you want to speak about depending on the job role. So when you have that upper hand by getting a JD beforehand in terms of what exactly you are going to, what is the role expectation, You have an opportunity to prepare as what your strength. So immediately you can also modify your strengths. For example, if the job requires you to be a person who is good in data, then talk about your strengths, that about your strengths, which highlights your familiarization towards data point of view, right? You are a data person. Talk about things that how data interests you as an individual. So that will basically add on to the whole portfolio of the job role. While you don't expose yourself extensively on the negative side, don't try to be also towards on the extreme positive side, stating that you don't have a weakness. And on the other side of it, don't go ahead and load your weaknesses, which is in countering the whole requirement of the job. That is something which is very, very important. So these are the two very, very important from this particular point. Um, uh, uh, why should we hire you? Again, why should we hire you is also coming from the job description. Now, when you read through the job description, company itself tells you that what kind of people they want to hire for. They need a strong communicator, they need a strong tech person, they need somebody who is a good project manager. Those automatically will become your strengths and the reason for you to get hired. That is something that you need to speak in an interview. Now, only speaking, will that help? It won't help. And I will tell you why. Coming back to the first question, tell me about a time when. Now, time when, the reason I have left it blank is there can be 2 or 3 probable questions which may come across. Tell me a time when you have actually been too demotivated and how you overcome that situation. Tell me a time when you have faced a situation where you are required to convince a very tough stakeholder. Tell me a time that you faced a failure and how did you overcome that? Tell me a time when you wanted to get certain things done and you had limited resources. Now, these are situational questions. Can you predict these questions? You may not be able to predict these questions well in advance. First 3 questions you can predict. But the fourth question, which is there, the reason why I've kept a dot dot is a thoughtful process why I kept a dot dot, that dot dot can be filled by anything. About a situation, about a person, about an individual. For a lot of cases where you attend a professional, when you gain your experience, when you have 10-15 years of experience, when you attend, they will ask questions specifically trying to understand. For example, it's a stakeholder management role. They will predominantly ask question. Tell us a situation where you came across a very tough stakeholder and how did you manage that? Tell me a situation where you actually encountered when your team members are not supporting you. How did you manage that? Tell me a situation where you had lack when you wanted to put forward a proposal and you felt that it is not the right time, but still you had to put forward. How did you do that? So all of these are situational questions. But there are certain points that you need to make a note of it. As a fresher, if you approach, they will ask you, make a note, tell a situation where you are extremely demotivated, tell a situation where you're hitting a timeline, tell a situation where you are lacking resources, but you still have to adjust. Tell me a time when you actually had to convince a very tough professor or a project lead about the project that you are performing. So all of these are situational based questions which you can only work on as you gain experience. You can have some 5, 6, 7, 8 templates which can be prepared. Again, the job description is the primary guide for you to prepare all of it, right? That's very, very important. What are your salary expectations? Now, again, this is a question uh, which has again multiple answers. Like a lot of people, there are again opinions around it. Uh, some people say you go with market standard. Some experts say that you should talk about a figure. Some experts say that you leave it to the interviewer to decide on what exactly he or she wants to pay you. So this is again a question which is very, very situational. But interviewer does expect the question, whatever has been put forward to you, the other person on the side of the table is looking forward for an answer. So you cannot leave it blank in that case. So my take on this particular question is go with an answer which is not opening up. So it's like this. If you know the budget of the organization, if you know how the market pays for that particular role, you can quote a figure. But in case if you're unaware about it, I would strongly recommend. My favorite take on this is basically you leave it to the organization budget. When you are fresher, when you are starting off your career, Leaving it to the organization budget is a safe game to play, because neither you are over positioning yourself, neither you are underselling yourself. Now the ball is passed on the other side of the court to decide on what is the budget. Maintain parity with whatever you are paying to an individual of my level of experience. Now the ball is again passed to another individual. You can quote of 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. You don't even know. If you know a budget, what is a budget of an organization, you can actually go ahead and play around it. But if you don't know the budget, and if you're pegging too high or too low, all possibilities that you're overselling yourself, underselling yourself. If you're not sure about what exactly is that where you should peg yourself, park it to the other person to decide on where he or she should peg it, with the confidence in other person that you will choose, or he or she will choose the right measure to compensate your skills and qualifications. That is something which is very, very important for all of you to make a note of. Now, these are very, very important points. These are very, very important questions, which is going to make or break the kind of discussions that you are going to be a part of. Now, I just made a sample templates about what exactly can be standard answers. You can choose to take a screenshot of it. Keep it again, as I said, there may not be a right or a wrong answer to any of these questions. Every interview has a different template all about. So you can make a note of. I'm just going to quickly scroll through these sample answers that I thought I will frame and present it here. While the crux of it, I spoke about it, and there are not these. There are thousands of templates which are available in the market, in the social media, in the YouTube platforms, in the internet. You can pick up any of these things, but remember the fundamentals. If you're able to remember the fundamentals of the interview process, I can bet you that whichever interview land, there's a higher probability for you to get shortlisted there. So again, the salary piece out, I just pegged it here. These are templates which you can copy it, use it, modify it, which will be helpful for you to attend the interview. Now again, stories are something that you should be always prepared for, because now if I'm sure if you are connected to the industry, storytelling has been a script which is getting a lot of popularity over the days. Now storytelling is an art, it's a science. It's the trend in which story should be always be ready for you. You should always have some stories to talk about your achievement. You should always have some stories to talk about your failures. While you talk a lot about while people do encourage that you talk about your positives, I strongly recommend that you talk about your negatives. But again, how did you overcome those negatives is to be a narrative that you want to present to the interview. That's very, very important. Mindset is, again, as I spoke about it, you should be very, very clear in terms of what you're heading towards. What is the kind of interview that you're going to attend? What is the kind of industry that you're going to pick up on? Have you prepared for it? That's something which is very, very important. Personal branding, I spoke about your digital presence. If you are not on the digital media, if you are not commenting on that kind of industry, if you're not showing your interest in the kind of industries that you want to get selected, I think you're going to miss out a lot of important action which is out there. So start getting active on your LinkedIn profile. Start following the leaders that you want to get aspired from. Start following the industry that you want to get selected into. And I'm sure that is going to get a lot of traction for you in the social media platform, right? That's very, very important that you create a digital presence in terms of what exactly you want to get selected into, right? Long term, again, this is again a very contextual point of view. When you attend an interview, there is something known as a career stability, right? As freshers, always everybody has some kind of interest to keep switching jobs. You get hired when you're a fresher, you have more options available in the market to switch jobs. But I have been a very strong believer that in the initial days, it's very, very important for you to show some stability. Because a lot of interviewers do look forward for your profiles if you are a stable. Now, this may not be applicable for you when you are a fresher or you're entering the market, but it is very, very important for you to understand that stability is something which always gets respected. When you become entrepreneurs, I'm sure you also don't want to hire people who keep switching jobs. So whenever you are going for an interview, think from a perspective that you are attending this interview for a long-term career. So that will actually give a lot of stability for you, and you will be more deliberated in terms of, you will do a due diligence in terms of the kind of company, the kind of industry that you want to actually pick for getting into a job. It is not about taking a job. It is all about taking the right job. And that can only happen when you actually go ahead and invest your time in terms of understanding what exactly you want to pick and choose from the market. While the interviewer has a choice to pick up candidates of his or our choice, as candidates, we do have an option to pick up the kind of industry, the kind of company that we want to work for. So execute those options as well from your side. And of course, energy is very, very important. Now, energy is something that how you present yourself. You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to underplay yourself. When I say overboard, you don't have to jump on the chair, while on the other side of it, you don't want to be seen as a person who doesn't have energy even to speak properly. So right level of energy, right level of voice, right level of enthusiasm is very, very important when you attend an interview, because a lot of interviewers do, and I want to talk a lot about the body language piece of it. Unfortunately, we are running short of time, uh, because it's very, very important. While you focus on your verbal skills, while you focus a lot about what you are speaking on the day of interview, it's very, very important that you also speak about, also touch base upon your body language. You are conscious about your, while dressing sense is one element that I spoke about it. Your body language plays a very, very important role. Your sitting posture plays a very, very important role of it. So be aware about how you are sitting, how you are being groomed. Do you have a proper attire for an interview? All of these are being watched in addition to what you are speaking. So very, very important aspect for it to be getting covered. So while it has been a monologue for some time, that's how the session has been designed. Now it is time. I will open up the forum to take a few of the questions that you have, and I would request any of either Shivangi or anybody, if you can pick up the questions from the chat, in case if you have any specific questions that you want me to answer as part of the session.
Sure.
I will be happy to share out of my experience.
So Mr. Arun, can you hear me?
Yes, we are much audible. Absolutely.
First of all, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. We couldn't thank you enough, and also Delton Technologies for this opportunity. This is something which is amazing for all of us. So from our side as a teacher, thank you so much, from our students as well. Sir, just to share a bit, this is a combination of other colleges as well. Apart from NIT, there are other college students all involved. And we were in touch with NIT also, Sir Johnson. And he said, this beautiful opportunities that comes once in a, very rarely, why not, give it to other college students as well. So, sir, representing you, all the students from Manipur.
Thank you. It's a bigger privilege for me. It's good to see know that there are students from other colleges who are actually attending this session. I'm sure while I was only limiting myself to one particular college, now I'm more delighted that there are a few other students from other colleges who are also a part of this particular session. I'm happy to hear about it. Thanks for bringing this up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And to also Delton Technologies for hosting this. So just to share in just a little bit, I just wanted to sincerely request, if it's okay. It seems that these students, they have some questions, and they felt more like an expressive nature. So I just wanted to request, would it be possible for them to actually verbally ask the questions? Would that be possible?
Yes, I think that is fantastic if they can unmute and ask the questions. Nothing like that. Since I wanted to put forward that, but I thought it is a limitation that they are only required to put it in the chat, because I would certainly encourage that if few of them can unmute, put forward the questions. It's more engaging for me to even speak to all of you guys to answer few of your questions. So most welcome. Please unmute and put forward your questions. If they have the access to mic, please put forward.
So what I will, Sarun, what I will going to do, I will just allow a mic for next 15 minutes for everyone. So if you have any questions, so please guys, one by one, ask your questions. Don't create the kiosk, otherwise I have to unmute everyone once again, because it's
Yes.
almost like we're having 75 attendees on this call and it's a huge number. So please,
Uh-huh.
one by one, you can ask the questions. Okay.
Yes, one by one. Okay. So anybody
Okay,
would like
just
to
a
ask?
second.
Anybody would
So
like to
my
start?
only request for the person who is going to ask, please unmute. Uh, 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 please, somebody who is not asking a question, please stay on mute so that the person who is asking the question doesn't gets interrupted by any kind of background noise. And somebody
Yes,
who is putting forward the question, my only request is please spell out your name so that
yes.
I know who I am speaking to, because my window is full of participants in this call, so it's very tough for me to identify who is speaking or putting forward the question. So if you just put forward your name and the college, that since I've been given an understanding that there are multiple colleges there, it'll be easy for me to address the individual specifically in that case.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Guys, you can go ahead.
Hello, a very good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Moyangthem Jikhengan Bashing, and I'm studied in Infant College, affiliated to Manipur University. And sir, I would like to ask you questions that, sir, can you please share us your experience, how you started, your journey of your career, and the first time you started working? And I have seen your LinkedIn account. That was so amazing, sir. That's amazing. That's cool. And we all know that, sir, you have the experience over 16 years in a big different companies, and that means a lot of experience, sir. And lastly, my question is that, sir, can you please share us the experience, how you started your journey of your career, and then the first time of your on what you started your working, sir.
Okay. Thanks for putting this forward. I'm not sure how my journey is going to inspire you guys, but to be very honest, I come in from a very small town. Okay, it's a town in Jabalpur, while very highly significant in terms of its contribution to the defense support piece of it. All your major arms and ammunition factories are located in Jabalpur. I'm sure not many of you have heard about it, but in case if you do a Google search, it's a country located in the it's a city located in the heart of the country. I come from Jabalpur. Right now I am connecting with you from Bangalore. So I did my master's in Bangalore, and my first job, the first company that I started working was in an assignment with Dell through a consulting firm. So as a normal HR person who did his master's, from the journey started with a MNC, and my role was to drive HR engagement and communication projects. So very new to the whole industry of it, and most of you who will actually start off your journey will actually land up in a corporate for the first time, right? Butterflies will be certainly there, but I still remember, and I would like to pass on these wisdom that I was talked about when I was getting to the first job by my mentor, is that while you get into an organization, you don't get hassled by the big lights which is up on the screen, right? When you walk into a corporate, you will see big buildings. When you walk into the corporate, you will see big cafeterias. When you walk into the corporate, you will see heavy lights on the ceiling. Don't get baffled by it. Don't get bogged down by any of it. You are an individual. When you have been selected for an organization, it means they have seen a quality in you. That's very important, right? And every individual on this call do have certain qualities which makes him suitable for some role or the other. Did I get the first interview? Was I able to clear the first interview that I appeared? No. Will you be able to clear the first interview that you appear for? May not be. Will that be the only interview that you will appear? Absolutely not. So most of you who will be attending the interviews will be able to clear the first round itself, first level itself, first job itself. You will be able to get selected. Few of you may take some time. So my journey started with a small firm, very small firm, but I got an opportunity to work with Dell, which I served for around quite some time. Then the global recession hit. Then I worked for another small firm which is into consulting. Then I got into a very different company which I never thought about, GE Healthcare. I served GE for 4.5 years. Then again, another opportunity landed upon my cart. That is the Infotech part of it. This is purely a different organization, which is purely into a different industry, which is IT. Then again, I landed up into another very different firm, which is into staffing, which is right now I'm serving, which is Quest Corp. Now, to summarize whatever I have gone over the years and the learnings that if I want to summarize in a few words for all of you to take away is, see, every company has a different requirement and you have a different skill set. Moment that match happens, you are in. If that match happens, there is something else who is waiting for you. So while you all have been getting prepared for interviews, there is nothing right which is the wrong. There is nothing which is the thumb rule here. If that thumb rule would have been known to anybody and everybody in this world, nobody would have been getting rejected in an interview. There is no thumb rule for answering a particular question. There is no right, there is no wrong. While I did a session for 1.5 years, I only, if you remember the word that I used the word probability. Increasing or decreasing the probability. Can anybody guarantee you that you will get selected if you attend a session? May not. And if he's guaranteeing you, I can bet you that he or she is trying to actually put you into a trap. There is no thumb rule which can guarantee you that you will 100% get selected in a job interview. What I would recommend, and out of my journey in HR, while I've been on both sides of the table, as an interviewer is, you are as an individual, you have your own skills, you have your own qualification, you have your own strengths, you have your own weaknesses, you have your own reasons to contribute, and you have your own reasons not to contribute. But you are an individual with your own persona. So till the time you believe in your own persona, the world continues to honor you. That is very, very important. So my journey, to summarize, is all about, I started my career as a very basic HR person, grown up the ladder. If you see my portfolio, I have started as an executive, then moved into an associate, then moved into an associate lead, then moved into assistant manager, right now a senior manager. So it's a progressive journey, but everywhere that you work, every industry that you work, every interview that you get selected, every interview that you get rejected gives you a learning. If you're able to remember those learning, you keep improvising your skills every time you attend an interview. That's the message that I wanted to pass on to each and every individual on this call. So I hope I answered your question in a way which I felt it is appropriate for me to talk about in this call. So can I have the next question on this?
No, that's what I really appreciate, Arun, for your answer. This was one of the finest answers what I would like to hear from you. Okay, so guys, I have shared you one link on your chat box option. You can go through that link. Can you please open that link?
Yes.
Okay, great. So guys, this is a YouTube channel. We used to conduct this kind of seminars every week, and we have almost like in the month of April, we have almost covered 4 seminars. So you can just subscribe this, and you can get these tips and tricks of interviews and other sessions also on this channel. And this session will be also uploaded over there. So once, like, if you have missed anything, you can just go through that and you can just note down everything. So this is a platform which you can subscribe, and you can help your friends also to subscribe who might miss this session. Okay. So,
Absolutely,
and
sir.
they might have missed the expertise of Arun also. The way he has explained it was extremely out of the box, to be very honest, and he is one of our finest speaker as of now. So I really thanks to Arun about his time and valuable the topic which he has chosen about the interviews and about the art of interview, because people used to do, people used to go for an interview but they don't know about the things because they have not practiced about that. But Arun has given such good example. He has taken out such such questions which has been asked for each and every interview. So guys, you can subscribe this channel and for the latest videos and all, and this video and this session will also be uploaded over there. And I just want to tell you one more thing, that there will be there is a show which is coming on this channel. That's the Change Maker show. that like the people Arun and the other have taken the initiative to guide you guys to take you at the next level. So we having a podcast. We're going to soon launch the podcast channel over here. So we'll get the clips over the. So we'll get the extreme knowledge about the corporate world on this channel.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely, we look forward.
Thank you
Sir,
so much.
in the future, in this upcoming, we absolutely look forward to the activities and more forward looking on the activities ahead.
That's great. We will be pleasure to do that.
Anybody wants to ask second question?
Sir, may I ask more? Sir. Sir, I'm here. May I ask right now?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sir,
It's
a very good evening to you, sir.
Very good evening.
Sir, my name is Mahesh Rainam, and I'm studying in NG College. So my question is basically for when sir was in the student days, like basically what the experiences and activities that sir went through to basically train for you as to get to basically train you to sir to be market ready.
See, that's a very interesting question. See, while there are hundreds of rules which people do talk about, I will be very candid in terms of what are a couple of things that you can do to get yourself marketed. First and foremost, select the market that you want to be into. It is a first and foremost. If you remember, my first fundamental ask from all of you was to get into the detail of where you want to be. What is the kind of industry you want to choose from? It is okay to be in every industry. While you're starting your career, you can pick and choose whatever comes on your way. But eventually you need to decide on where you want to be in. Right? That's first and foremost. Now, thanks to the internet, thanks to the information which is available in the when I was doing my graduation, while internet was still there, it was not that accessible like mobile phones today. I've been like, I still remember when I joined my MBA days, we still had that small phone, right? Not that hyped access to internet over the fingertips. Now, what has happened over the years is now the accessibility of information is in your fingertips. That's very important. Now, trend that you need to follow, and I would recommend this to every individual, is to get yourself known to what's happening in the market. Now, you all hear about recession, right? You all hear about there's a slowdown in the market. Why that is happening? What is the root cause for that? If you have that information, now there is something which is happening on the trade side of it. There's something happening which is the economic side of it. What is the impact that is having on the Indian economy? So all of these information is going to be handy for you. Now, specific sector, specific industries that you want to target. If you want to get into if you want to get into energy sector, if you want to get into a technology sector, if you want to get into a blue chip sector, what is that is happening across worldwide? It is something which is very important for you to get a hang of it. Now, when I remember when I was in my days, when I was in college days, this is something which I was always excited. I'm still excited to know about what's happening in the world, right? What's happening in the space that I operate out of it, what's happening in the HR space of it. The reason why I choose to do my master's after 16 years of my MBA is to understand what's happening in the field of psychology. Now, is this linked to my domain of HR? It is very much linked to my domain of HR. Was that a need for me to do that? It may not be a need for me to do that immediately, but is it a requirement? Is it something which is going to add to my portfolio? It is going to add to my portfolio because I get a better understanding of understanding human beings, understanding the industry, understanding the space in which I operate out of it. So that why factor should be very strong for you to get that knowledge. Why you need to know something about an industry, why you need to know something about an organization, why you need to know about what's happening in the world. If you're able to justify that why, automatically you will find the way how you want to do it. If you know what exactly you want to know, you will find out the resources. If you get to the answer of why you want to do that, you will get to the resources. First is, and ask your question, what is that you want to achieve, and how you want to achieve that will fall your face. If you want to know about the industry, now you're starting your careers, most of you will be getting into the corporate. I'm just discounting people who have already experienced the whole world of the real-time corporates. Most of you, if you're going to start your journey, remember one thing, the college or the institution or the support can take you to an organization. It can land you up to an organization. It can also get you a job while the skills that you would have developed. But eventually, if you want to sustain in an organization, it is only your smartness, your knowledge, your information that you possess is going to actually lead you through your journey. Your college can be, your institution can be one-time entry for you to an organization, but it cannot guarantee a sustenance. It's only you who can actually guarantee your sustained journey in the organization. And that will only come by the virtue of you being aware about what's happening in your industry that you work for, what's happening in the company that you work for, what's happening in the current trends. If you are able to gauge that, if you are able to be on top of it, irrespective of whichever industry you work in, I can bet you are going to excel. And also I can bet you that most of the people who are not in this call are not going to do this because they don't do it. Don't get settled in a job, leaving the entire world. Keep yourself updated every time, because that is which is going to keep you ahead of the competition. I hope I am able to answer the question. Now, how you want to do it? It is again depending if what is your way of learning. Somebody loves listening to podcasts, somebody loves reading books, somebody loves discussing with higher individuals in a higher knowledge level. So that depending on how you want to gather your information, your knowledge, depending on what suits you the best. But important for you to notice, you need to be on the top of the world by knowing what's happening in your own space, in your own industry, in the sector that you're going to work for. That is a bare minimum which is expected from you. I'm sure that is not a big ask. If you're able to fulfill that ask by whichever medium it suits you, I can bet you that not today, not tomorrow, even 20 years down the line, you will be relevant to the industry. Right? I hope I'm able to answer the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Yes, I have a question, sir. So a very good evening, our respected sir.
Very good evening.
That's great, sir. And so thank you for giving us this kind of opportunities, and we really appreciate you. And so my name is Branson Okram. Now I've been an internship under Appromish International and Ignite International in Manipur. And so the question is, in this current as in time, we as the youth would like to take this opportunity to be better prepared and get ready as positive workforce with strong, resourceful leadership quality for the future. And the question is, what changed in time comparing from the old time and this current time of job profile and nature of work? And also like to know what are the emerging jobs and in what sector? So the last is, what does the future hold along with this change? So that's my question, sir. Could you please explain about my question, sir?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So basically two parts to this question. What has changed over the past versus what is now in the trend? That is one. And correct me if I comprehended your question correctly. What was in past versus what is today in the segment. Second thing is, what are the trends which is going to get picked up in near future? Is this what you want me to answer? Have I got the question right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So let me put forward the first question. Basically, what has changed over the time? Now, basics have not changed. That's the reason why the interview questions have not changed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what I was preparing 15 years before or 16 years before, till date, the same questions are getting prepared. So what has not been changed is basically the basic psyche of an interview has not changed. Now, what exactly has changed is important for you to know. Is now the competition has changed. The awareness of an individual has changed. The resources for you to gauge an organization, the organization to gauge you has also changed over the years. Now, yes, psychometric test if you recall, I touched upon something which was a psychometric test, which I spoke about. Lot of organization do take, earlier it was only a qualitative aptitude or a quantitative aptitude which was into play. Now psychometric is playing a very, very important role. Now what is that the organizations are looking forward for? While your skills and your qualifications are an important part of the role, organizations are also focusing on softer aspects of it, or a transferable skills, what we call here. Now, transferable skills are skills which is not specific to a particular job type. For example, your team building capabilities, your emotional intelligence, your adaptability, your agility, all of these are transferable skills. It doesn't make a difference whether you work in a manufacturing. It doesn't make a difference whether you work in IT setup. It doesn't make a difference whether you work in a retail setup. These are the skills which are going to go with you, along with you through your corporate journey. Now, while initially, while earlier days, it was more in terms of your skills which used to play a role, or your education marks which used to play a role. Now, in addition to that, these are the skills which, or these are the softer aspects or transferable skills which the organization is also assessing you on. Right? So while you work on your education qualification, also ensure that you are well aware about what are your emotion quotients. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Are you a good team player? Are you able to negotiate well? So these are important changes which the organization or industries are looking forward for an individual, in addition to the skills or qualification that is a requirement of the job. That is the one aspect. There's a lot of focus on these aspects by an interviewer, because while we certainly want individuals with great skills and great qualification to join the organization, we don't want people to join us who lack softer aspects of it, because team building, agility, adaptive nature, stress managing your stress quotient, all of these are a part of a day-to-day job requirement, and every organization in the competitive era would certainly want their workforce to be equipped with all of these skills. That is first part of it. Now, second thing that the second part of the question, which talks about what is the trend in the future. Now, to be very honest, I'm sure all of you are aware that technology has taken a leap forward over the last couple of years, right? With the infusion of artificial intelligence, with the infusion of technologies like ChatGPT, there's a new skills which are in high demand. Now, there will be two kind of people who will sustain this whole journey. One who will be completely ignorant about what's happening in this world. They will be surely get eradicated from this whole journey, if not today, in a short while. Now you have two options. Either you get yourself prepared for the future, or you stay where you are by just ignoring what's happening in this world. So information will again play a very, very important role, because each and every industry in this space today is looking forward to leverage technology for reasons which will be actually beneficial for them to stay relevant in the market. I'm sure all of you will be hearing about the innovation or the intervention of AI in the industry. Now, there are a lot of jobs which will require to get realigned because there's AI intervention. There are a lot of jobs which will be getting remapped. Now, if you are in the new era, I'm sure all of you will like to be a part of the new journey. And that is only possible when you get yourself infused with technology. What's happening in the world of technology, that is something which is going to help a lot of you to get higher position as compared to somebody who is not aware about it. That's one part of it. Second important is a lot of focus will be on data. While big data has been already in trend for years, there is a new way of looking into data. Data is going to be the key for all innovations. Data-driven approaches is something which is going to be a part of the decision-making process in each and every organization, which will be supported by AI. So if you don't have the knack of understanding the data, I would strongly recommend that you start reading through the data, start interpreting data, because that is something which is going to be a part of the skill, which will be required to be exhibited by each and every individual, irrespective of the domain that he or she is working for. So very, very important that you have an eye on technology, because the upcoming jobs will all be infused with heavy loads of technology aspect of it. And your interpretation of data and decision-making ability based on data interpretation will be second important aspect of the current trends or the future trend which is going to come up. So if you are going to expertise, if you are going to get an expertise on both of these domains, I'm sure there's no stopping for you in any of your, there's no stopping for any of you in your career journeys.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing us. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Anybody else?
A very good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
My name is Diparani, and I would like to tell you that I did a little bit of research about Quest Corporation and its services and the value-added contributions globally. I see that it has occupied 37% of the market share alone. I would like to know from you, sir, the journey and its impact, how it has been able to provide employment to 550,000 professionals around the world. I've also witnessed there's about 3,000 plus clients worldwide. Also, sir, if you don't mind, would you kindly share the names of some of your big clients worldwide?
See, our clients is already there on the website. So you just visit our website, QuestCorp homepage, and all of the information that you're looking forward for is listed out there. That's one aspect of it, right? Now, Quest as an organization has been it's one of the largest sector in the employment chain. We offer employment to a lot of, if you see 5,50,000 employees who we have hired, you just calculate the number of families that we are supporting in terms of being independent, right? In terms of getting their bread and butter earned respectfully. That's very, very important. Now, as organization, we do tap on sectors which has not been focused previously. That's the uniqueness of an organization of Quest. Right? I feel pride to be I feel myself to be, I extremely feel proud to be associated with the organization. While the entire world was looking into premium segment, we picked up segments which is into very basic stuff. That's the reason you see a portfolio consists of high-end staffing services to organizations which is into very basic catering services. Now the important thought process behind that when the organization got started is, can we give value add to an individual by making them a part of the core employee group, while bringing them into mainstream, by giving them social benefits. That is what the whole objective of the organization, and that is where the journey started. And you see the history is created by the count of employees that we have enrolled in our organization, and we are still growing. Right? That's the beauty of the organization. If you see, I don't want to comment on the numbers, but there are only hand-picked organizations which are above us in terms of head count. That is purely possible by the vision of the management group. There's a very clear vision in terms of how we want to contribute to the organization, how we want to contribute to an individual, how we want to contribute to the society. So that's how we are growing day in, day out. And it's again understanding the opportunities which is available, understanding where we play, where we are the best. That is something that we are good at, and that is why we do acquire organization which we feel that we can bring value in, right? And I will be happy if you can actually go through our website, QuestCorp, and you will get to know a lot of details in terms of we are a great place to work. So not only business, we also ensure that we offer great work culture to our employees, and that is a reason why consecutive years. Over the last multiple years, we have been certified as great place to work. So we, while we are expanding our business span, we also are ensuring that we don't lose focus on our employee benefits. We are not losing focus on our employee well-being. We are not losing focus because eventually, as an organization, our key resources, our key assets are our people. We want to ensure that while we are expanding, while we are adding more and more people to our employee base, we don't want to let loose of our vision to serve our employees the best. And that's one of the reasons, that's the certification that we have got and we are getting every year from Great Place to Work, which is one of the premium organization which actually drives survey and gives certification to the great organization who promote great work culture. And QuestCorp is one of them. Right? And if you want to know more about what we do, please do visit the website. We have actually put forward each and every initiative that we drive. Do visit our LinkedIn page. Do subscribe to our LinkedIn page so that you also get updates as and when we do events, we do activities. And as I spoke in my session, LinkedIn is the best way to get connected to an organization and of course the activities, the actions, the all the drives that we do, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of beautiful insights. We something that I also want all of you to read through it is the report that we published, which talks about what exactly is the need for a unorganized sector, which is a unique survey that we did over the year. Over the year, we published this report that is there in the website. Just go through it and read through it, and I'm sure you will get to know a lot about the staffing industry.
Thank
Right?
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Anyone else?
A very good evening to you, sir.
Very good evening.
My name is John, and it's a great opportunity for us and an absolute blessing for us to meet you. So can you support us, the youth of Manipur, through placements, employment, and internship opportunity? Because we do have a huge number of youth looking forward to this opportunity. And also, what are the criteria you look for so that we can prepare for it? I would like to know.
See, internship opportunities, I may not be the right person to comment on it, because it again depends on what kind of profiles that you have. I'm sure your placement coordinators and your mentors and guides will be the right person to. But as an overall industry, what people look forward for, or what industry look forward from an intern, is basically your zeal to drive, your enthusiasm to drive, your hunger to learn, your hunger to contribute, your willingness to go beyond your comfort zone to do certain projects which requires you to test your stretching levels. That is something which actually grabs the eye of an employer, to be very honest. So if you have read through it, if you experienced it from your seniors, the PPOs which happens, the pre-placement offers, of which or basically the interns who get converted to full-time roles, are basically individuals who have who have gone beyond the expected levels to demonstrate their project capabilities or their abilities to get into the mainstream of employment. So your own smartness, your willingness to contribute to an organization well-being, your contribution towards the initial project that you do, gives a lot of idea to a hiring manager to decide on whether you can actually fit into the mainstream and whether you can be a great employer. And I'm sure if you're able to prove your worth during the internship, there are high possibilities that organization will be hiring you in your mainstream employments.
Thank you, sir. Sir, just to add in between, I think this session is going full blast from the moment it started. So many questions, and like we said, sir, it's a really pleasure as a teacher, and a lot of gratitude from our end, representing the youth, to Sir Arun Chatterjee, and also from Delton Technologies for giving us this blessing. It's almost more than 9:30, but still it's going on so good. Sir, one of the requests that I have, like one of the students, they said, this is an open request to both Sir Arun Chatterjee from Quest Corporation as well as to Delton Technologies. As I said, sir, these students are basically from other colleges of Manipur, which don't have this opportunity and the facility and the privilege like placement opportunities. And I found out that there are so many students who are really looking forward for support and guide in this. So, given the fact that Quest Corporation is also one of the highest staffing or companies in the world, and even Delton Technologies as well, So, sir, I wanted to propose to sir as well as to the Delton Technologies. I saw that there are also educational job fairs that has been conducted in Mumbai for Quest Corporation, all that. So it would be a privilege for us, creating such opportunity, because many of the students in Manipur, apart from NIT, those other colleges, they are in lack of opportunities for placements. And also, many of the students in Manipur, they move out to other mainland areas for opportunities. So given the fact that Quest Corporation is one of the biggest staffing companies, and even Delton Technologies as well. So I would like to request if there's a possibility where we can conduct such educational job fairs in Manipur. We'd love to invite Delton as well as Sir Arun in Manipur for a job fair and collaboration for displacement of the students. If it's possible in August or September, we'd love to take it forward.
Absolutely. We can certainly look forward for it. While I don't directly come in from the hiring stream of it, but yes, we can exchange. I can connect you with the hiring folks to see what can be the feasibility of driving activities in Manipur. I think that can be certainly look forward for the future.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks for the invitation. Hi, this is Shivangi from Deltron Technologies.
Hi, Shivani. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same here. And we would love to come to Manipur for the drive stall.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
warmly welcome you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing. So if there are no more questions, then I have one last slide that I want to put forward before
Yes,
I
sir.
conclude from my side.
Yes,
So
sir.
while I have been put forward, but there are a lot of questions which came to me. I want to put forward a question to all the audience out here as to what is this, what you see on my screen. And I want all of you to unmute and just put a guess. What is that you see on my screen now? What is that you see?
So it's
Here.
a puzzle.
It's a puzzle. Okay, good. Good. What does that means? And I think this is one of the most important points that I'm going to make as part of this particular call, specifically to the students who are out here.
Yeah.
What does this puzzle comprises of?
Pieces.
Yeah.
Pieces, right? And what does that you observe in these pieces?
Connection.
Connection.
Different
Okay?
colors.
Different colors and different connections. Now,
Different colors.
okay. Now, how does a puzzle gets created, right? What is the pattern that you see here? How can you make a puzzle successful? What is the basic criteria for a puzzle to be successful?
Yeah.
It has to.
Piece together.
It is the right piece at the right place, right? If you see this particular slide, there is a purpose that I put across, and I generally don't put this for experienced people, but since this is purely for people who are going to start off this career, I felt it is the most relevant aspect of this particular session. See, a corporate journey is a puzzle. Okay, and we all as individuals are a part of the puzzle. Now, every puzzle has a particular shape and a particular size of a piece to be fitted into it to make it a successful, right? Now, if we are a piece of this particular puzzle and there is a puzzle out there, we will be only fitted if we are in the right size of that particular unit, right? If you change the pieces here and if you try to put it somewhere else, it won't fit in, right? So what does that mean? It means that every individual on this call, every student on this call has its own skills, has its own qualification, have its own strengths, have its own appetite to contribute. It's a piece of the puzzle. The organizations out here have a specific slot which will only look forward for a piece which will fit into their particular stream. Now, does that mean that any of these pieces are not beautiful or not relevant? It is absolutely relevant. But will that be guaranteed that it will fit into this puzzle? May not be. Right? So what does that mean? When you start attending interviews, when you start getting into the mainstream, when you start actually approaching organizations, there can be situations where you may get selected, there you may get rejected. What does that implies? See, I took a lot of time to understand that. I developed this over a years of experience, and then it took me to understand that not every piece is meant for every puzzle. It means that not every individual is created for a particular job type that he or she is attending the interview for. It's very, very important for them. Does that mean that individual is not relevant? Absolutely not. The individual is 100% relevant. It may not be relevant for that particular puzzle or the particular organization that you are appearing for. So what? You will get an opportunity in some other fit in. So whichever puzzle or whichever organization you are fitting in, the organization will select you irrespective of whatever interviews or whatever you speak out. Your effort is to put the best when you are attending interview, complete sincerity, Fitting into the puzzle or not is not your responsibility. You can only put an effort because the organization has a particular framework in which they will look forward for a particular individual to be fitted into. That is one of the reasons out of 100 interviews that an organization takes, they're only able to select 1 or 2, and the most of the positions do stay vacant because they don't get the right fit. Similarly, it's important for you to understand when you attend an interview, if you are not getting selected, there is a there's the only possibility is that the organization may not be in a shape to hire you because you may not be fitting into the puzzle that they have framed in. That's very, very important. One important aspect. Second important aspect is what is written here. What is written? What do you see on the screen?
Stencil.
What is the stencil? What is the stencil?
So I might be not right, but I guess stencil this might be our potential where we are going to face a challenges or
Stencil,
something.
if you remember, oh, good, very good. So stencil, if you remember, when we were all young, we used to get that India map. It was empty frame where you should draw pictures, basic of the border lines, right? So if you remember, when I was giving my introduction, I'm also pursuing psychology in human resources. So remember one important thing. Every interviewer who you will come across will have a stencil in his or her head. Okay. He will always have every individual will have a fitment or a stencil which he would have created by the virtue of the understanding of the job that he is hiring for. Now, either you will fit into that stencil or you will not fit into that stencil. You cannot modify that stencil to a larger extent. You can try to it here and there, but you may not be able to modify that mental frame that an interview is sitting there with his mindset. So the whole objective of putting forward this particular concept of stencil and the puzzle is there will be situations where you will attend an interview. There will be situations where you will attend multiple interviews, but you will still get rejected. Okay. The whole objective for you to understand is that stencil which is sitting in the individual mindset as an interviewer, you are somehow not fitting into that for that particular point of time. Somebody may immediately fit into the stencil, somebody may not fit into the stencil. If you are not fitting into the stencil, it means that there's something else waiting for you. Now, whatever I told you throughout this 1.5 hours is to get you close to the stencil of an individual mindset, the interviewer mindset, or getting you close to the fitment of the piece which may fit into the puzzle. Does it guarantee that you will 100% fit it? Nobody in this world can guarantee you. But you can get closer to that particular stencil of the interviewer's frame of mind, or get closer to the puzzle piece that may fit into that whole game of puzzle. So if you put your efforts, you can get closer. But if you just play with the luck, then you are just playing with the luck, right? So never get disappointed if you don't get selected in one. There are hundreds of case studies available in the market of people who got rejected and rejected and rejected. And one fine day they got selected and that made their career. There can be possibilities with the current market trend that you may not get a job if you attend 10 interviews also, but you will need only one interview to get selected to make up your whole career. Right? So very, very important from a student standpoint. Don't get bogged down if you don't get selected. World doesn't end. Your world does not end because you don't get selected. There are thousands of companies in this whole country and millions of companies in this world. If not one, something else is waiting for you. If not something else is waiting for you. Your role is to ensure that you give 100% sincerity towards whatever you are attending to. Do your research, do your homework, do your groundwork, prepare well, get the information, attend the interview, give the interview sincerely. That is what is in your control, and you should be only worried about what is in your control. You should not be worried about what is in the interviewer's mind, because that is his mind. That is not your mind. You have very limited control on that particular piece of it. Don't even bother about it. But what is in your hands, you should be doing justice to that particular aspect. Don't compromise on what is in your purview. That is a message that I wanted to pass on to all the participants on this call, because that is something which is very, very important. Not today, not tomorrow. It will stay relevant if you remember this throughout your lifetime. So keep these two things in your mind. The stencil or the frame of mind which the interviewer is sitting with, and the puzzle piece which the company is having. If both of these matches, you get selected. If you don't get matched to any of these, you will get something else which will match you. But don't judge your capabilities because you don't get selected in an interview. Every individual comes with a capability. Every individual comes with unique skills, unique capabilities, unique possibilities of doing wonders. So respect yourself. That's very, very important. The moment you stop respecting yourself, the moment the world will stop respecting you. The moment you feel that you are not capable for a role, you're not capable as an individual, the world will stop seeing you as a capable person. It all starts with you. So be confident that you are fitting into some role or the other. If not this company, something else will come on your way. And it will surely come. So wait for the right opportunity which will fit you and you will be getting fitted into it for sure. Right. So with this, I would like to thank all of you, the entire team, organizing team, all the colleges who have been actually here today to be a part of this session. I'm sure you would have, as I committed, I'm sure, I'm hopeful that you would have benefited by this time that we have spent. We have little bit overshot the time by an hour or so, but I'm sure you are going to take away something which will be serving you not only as a fresher, but over the years as you progress in your corporate journey, in your professional journey, right? Keep the stable mindset, keep confidence on yourself. Things will come, things will go. You will get jobs, you will not get jobs. You will get jobs tomorrow, you may get jobs after a week, after a month. But the world doesn't end. You don't get defined by the profile that you handle, you get defined by the personality that you are. Right? So create yourself as a personality rather than as a portfolio. That's very, very important. That's my key message to all of you. I'm sure with your enthusiasm, all of you are going to do miracles, go beyond your capabilities, do wonders in your professional and personal life. So I wish all of you all the very best in your professional endeavors. Do great. And we certainly are going to cross paths in your corporate journey sometime or the other. So wish you all the very best. Thank you very much from my side, and over to Shivangi and team to do the formal closure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate
Yes, sir.
you.
Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you very much for
Yeah.
being a part of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
And
sir. We all
special
got
thanks to
experience and
speaker.
advice. And
Thank you,
thank you,
Miss
sir.
Sam, as well.
Thank you very much and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night to all.
Have a
Yes,
and guys, Miss Shivangini wants to address you all. Please be silent, everyone. Miss Shivangini would like to address. Please go ahead,
Yes,
Shivangini.
Yeah, so I was saying that we keep on doing such sessions, okay, and we are having a channel under the name of Whiteboard Foundation, which you guys can subscribe for more such videos and updates. And we are trying to bridge the gap between corporate and education. So that is the basic idea why we created such platforms. So that is for you guys only. So if you will subscribe, if you will watch, you will be get a better edge in this corporate world. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much to all my dear audience. It was wonderful evening, and thanks a lot to the speaker, Mr. Arun. You were superb throughout the presentation. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah, and
Thank you very
sir,
much.
and sir and Shivangini, just one last, to proceed forward with activities. How can we be in touch to move forward with the upcoming, placement and activities, etc.?
So you can get my number from, I think Dr. John is there.
Oh yes, yes.
You were connected with me on the WhatsApp also,
Oh,
right?
oh, that's your number. Okay, okay.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, okay.
So
Got
we
it.
can be in touch.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah,
sounds
for the
great.
collaborations and activities.
Okay, thank you so much.
Always
Thank you so
there
much.
to help you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much. So signing off for the
Thank you, sir.
evening, and
Good
look
night,
forward
sir.
to connect sometime. Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank you.
evening.
Good
Thank
night,
you very much.
everyone.
We really appreciate you, sir.
Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.